Welcome to the Live Free, Love Life podcast, where we discuss how to create more freedom so we can love our lives no matter what we're going through.
Hello, my beautiful friend. Welcome to today's episode of the Live Free, Love Life podcast. As we stand on the threshold of 2025, you might be thinking about New Year's resolutions. So maybe you're planning to lose weight, save money, or finally write that book. But here's the truth that most people miss. Lasting change doesn't come from forcing new habits or gritting your teeth through another year of willpower. It comes from freedom. Buddhist monk Thich Nhat Hanh once said, "Freedom is the only condition for happiness." After coaching thousands of women through life's challenges, I can tell you this is absolutely true. When you are truly free, not just externally, but internally, joy flows naturally. It's not something you have to chase or manufacture. But here's the problem. Most of us are walking around in invisible chains that we have created ourselves. We are trapped by our thoughts, our shoulds, our expectations, and our endless attempts to control things we simply can't control. As we talked about last week, we think we'll be happy when we lose the weight, when our marriage improves, when our kids behave better, when we have more money. But that's not how it works. Here's the good news. You already have everything you need to break free. So let's explore how to make 2025 your year of freedom and joy, no matter what life throws at you. When I talk about freedom, I'm not talking about the ability to do whatever you want, whenever you want. I'm talking about something much more powerful. The freedom to love your life exactly as it is, while still working towards what you want it to be. True freedom means not being at the mercy of your thoughts and emotions, not needing people or circumstances to change for you to feel good, not being trapped by your past or afraid of your future, and not feeling like you have to or should do anything. Think about it for a moment. How would your life be different if you were constantly battling with reality? If you weren't always trying to control everything and everyone around you? If you weren't trapped by your own expectations of how things should be? This is the kind of freedom that changes everything. And it's available to you right now. But before we can create freedom, we need to understand what's really keeping us stuck. Most of us think our circumstances are the problem. We blame our unhappiness on our weight, our relationships, on our job, on our bank account, or in the past. But here's the truth. Your circumstances are never the problem. Sure, the problem is always your thoughts about your circumstances. So let me give you an example from my own life. When I first got remarried and blended my family, I was miserable. My stepkids didn't treat me or my kids the way I thought they should. My husband didn't parent the way I thought he should. Truly, almost nothing looked the way I thought it should. I did everything I could to change it, but nothing worked. I felt trapped, frustrated, and hopeless. And it definitely felt like my circumstances were the problem. But my circumstances weren't the problem. My thoughts about those circumstances were the problem. And I know this because when I changed my thoughts, everything changed, even though my external circumstances stayed exactly the same. So here are some common ways that we trap ourselves. This is not an extensive list, but these are things I see all the time when I'm coaching. And there are quite a few of them. So make sure that you're on my email list so you can get the newsletter that goes with each podcast episode. So you always have the lists and the steps I refer to and don't have to stop it and take notes. Okay? The control trap. Trying to control things we can't control. The should trap. Living by rules we've unconsciously adopted. The victim trap. Believing we're at the mercy of other people, situations, or circumstances. The perfection trap. Thinking we need to be perfect to be enough. The when-then trap. Thinking we'll be happy when something changes. The comparison trap. Measuring your life against others' highlights reel. The not enough trap. Believing you're fundamentally lacking in some way. The approval trap. Needing others to validate your choices and your worth. The future past trap. Living anywhere but the present moment. The comfort trap. Choosing comfort over growth. The achievement trap. Thinking that if you can just do enough, you'll finally be enough. The overfunctioning trap. Taking on everyone else's problems as your own. The identity trap, getting stuck in who you think you're supposed to be. The belonging trap, compromising yourself to fit in or be accepted. The time trap, believing you don't have enough time. The all or nothing trap, thinking in extremes or thinking you only have two options. We all fall into these traps. There is nothing wrong with you if you fall into any of these traps. I still fall into them all the time. But because I've done this work, it's much less frequent than before. And now that I know how to break free, I get myself out of them pretty quickly, which is what I want for you. After years of helping clients break free from these traps, I've developed what I call the freedom formula. It consists of 3 essential elements: cherish, acceptance, and responsibility. So let's talk about each one. Cherishing yourself means more than just basic self-care or positive self-talk. It's about developing an unshakable foundation of self-worth that isn't dependent on anything external. When you truly cherish yourself, you stop seeking validation from others because you already know your worth. You make decisions based on what's truly best for you, not what others expect. You trust yourself to handle whatever comes your way. You treat yourself with the same compassion that you would offer to a beloved friend. You honor your needs without guilt or justification. You celebrate your wins without needing anyone else to notice them. You embrace your imperfections as part of what makes you uniquely you. You invest in your growth because you're worth it, not because you're broken. You stop taking things personally because you're so solid in who you are. You no longer get defensive because you know your worth isn't up for debate. You connect with others more deeply because you're not trying to protect yourself. You can hear hard feedback without crumbling because you love yourself even when you mess up. And you can admit your mistakes without shame because you know they don't define you. When you truly cherish yourself, other people's words and actions lose their power over you. Not because you've built walls, but because you're so grounded in self-love that you can see things clearly. When someone criticizes you, you can evaluate it objectively. Maybe they're right and there's something to learn, or maybe they're wrong, and that's okay too. Either way, it doesn't shake your foundation. This level of self-cherishing creates incredible freedom in relationships. You can be truly present with others instead of constantly managing their perceptions of you. You can listen without getting defensive. You can admit when you're wrong without feeling like it makes you less worthy. And ironically, this self-love leads to much deeper connections with others because you're showing up as your authentic self rather than trying to be who you think they want you to be. Okay, let's talk about acceptance. Acceptance is often misunderstood as resignation or giving up, but true acceptance is actually a powerful form of freedom. It means seeing reality clearly without the distortion of your expectations, letting go of the exhausting fight against what is, allowing others to be who they are without trying to change them, making peace with your past instead of wishing it was different, embracing all your emotions without judgment, acknowledging your limitations while still working on growth, recognizing that life includes both pleasure and pain, understanding that acceptance is the foundation for any real change, accepting the thoughts that run through your head without believing them or making them mean anything about you. Your brain has lots of thoughts. You get to choose which ones to believe. Accepting yourself exactly as you are because there truly is nothing wrong with you. You don't need fixing. Continually throwing away the fictional story that your brain made up about how things were supposed to be and reminding yourself this is how it was always going to be. And understanding that acceptance doesn't mean you can't want change. It just means you stop fighting with what is while you work toward what could be. When you practice acceptance, you stop wasting energy fighting reality and can direct that energy toward creating the reality you desire. You're free to work with what is rather than constantly battling against it. Now, taking responsibility. Taking responsibility means claiming your power to create your experience of life. This isn't about blame, it's about freedom. When you take full responsibility, you understand that your thoughts create your feelings, not your circumstances. Stop waiting for others to make you happy. You recognize that you are the author of your life story. You take charge of meeting your own needs. You make conscious choices instead of living on default. You own your part in every situation. You focus on what you can control and let go of what you can't. You create solutions instead of complaining about problems. You choose your responses rather than just reacting. And you build the life you want instead of waiting for it to happen. Responsibility equals power. When you take responsibility for your experience, you're free to create whatever experience you want. So now that you understand the components of freedom, let's create your blueprint for 2025. This isn't about setting traditional resolutions. It's about creating sustainable freedom in every area of your life. Step 1, identify your chains. Take out a piece of paper and answer these questions. Where do you feel stuck or trapped? What do you think needs to change for you to be happy? What shoulds are running your life? Where are you trying to control things you can't control? What expectations are causing you pain? Of the traps we just went over a minute ago, which do you consistently fall into? Step 2, choose your focus areas. Pick 2 to 3 areas where you want to experience more freedom in 2025. Here are some examples. And I mean, it could be anything, but there's just examples. Freedom from emotional eating, freedom from relationship anxiety, freedom from perfectionism, freedom from people pleasing, freedom from financial stress. Step 3, apply the freedom formula. For each focus area, you're going to go through all 3. Cherish. How can you love yourself through this? Acceptance. What do you need to stop fighting or resisting? Responsibility. What power do you need to take back? Step 4, create daily freedom practices. Choose specific practices that will help you maintain your freedom. These might include morning mindset work, regular self-coaching, boundary setting, emotion processing, or thought awareness. Now, even when we understand these principles intellectually, putting them into practice can be challenging. So let's look at some of the most common obstacles that you might face on your journey to freedom and how to overcome them. The first obstacle is the fear of change. Your primitive brain loves to keep things exactly as they are, even if as they are isn't working for you. When you start making changes, your brain might freak out a little or a lot. This is normal. Your brain is trying to keep you safe, but you can move forward despite the fear. Here are some things that help. Remind yourself that fear is just a vibration in your body. Take small steps rather than trying to change everything at once. Focus on what you're moving toward rather than what you're leaving behind. And give your primitive brain lots of reassurance. It's just trying to protect you. The second obstacle is old patterns and habits. We all have neural pathways that have been strengthened over years or decades. These automatic patterns can feel impossible to change sometimes. But here's the truth. Your brain is incredibly adaptable. You can create new patterns at any age. Here are some things that might help. Notice your patterns without judgment. Practice new responses, even if they feel awkward at first. Celebrate small wins. Be patient. New neural pathways take time to build. And remember that each time you choose differently, you're literally rewiring your brain. The third obstacle is other people's reactions. When you start changing, some people in your life might resist. They're used to you showing up in certain ways, and your growth might make them uncomfortable. This doesn't mean you're doing anything wrong. Here are some things that might help. Remember that their reactions are about them, not you. Keep your focus on your own growth rather than managing others' emotions. Set clear, loving boundaries. Give people time to adjust to the new you. And understand that not everyone will come along in your journey, and it's okay. The fourth obstacle is environmental triggers. Certain situations, places, or people might trigger old patterns. These triggers can feel overwhelming at first, but they actually provide excellent opportunities for practice. Here are some things that might help. Identify your specific triggers so you can prepare for them. Create a plan for how you want to respond when you're triggered. Build in buffer time around triggering situations. Set yourself up for success by creating supportive environments. and use triggers as reminders to practice your new skills. The fifth obstacle is setbacks and failures. The path to freedom isn't linear. You will have days when you fall back into old patterns. You'll have moments when you feel like you're not making any progress. This is all part of the journey. Here are some things that might help. Expect setbacks and plan for them. Use failures as learning opportunities. Be as compassionate with yourself as you would be with a good friend. Remember that progress isn't about perfection. And look at how far you've come rather than how far you have to go. The sixth obstacle is the sneaky, not enough voice. Even as you're working on these changes, your brain might whisper that you're not doing it right. You're not doing it fast enough, or you're not doing enough in general. This voice can be particularly sneaky because it masquerades as helpful. Here are some things that might help. Recognize this voice for what it is. Just another thought you can choose to not believe. Notice when you're adding unnecessary pressure to your growth. Remember that any progress is good progress. Focus on one small change at a time. And celebrate your wins, no matter how small they seem. Remember, these obstacles aren't signs that something's wrong or that you're doing it wrong. They're normal parts of the growth process. The goal isn't to avoid them, but learn how to work with them. When you hit an obstacle, remind yourself why you're doing this work. Freedom is worth the effort, even when it's challenging. And you don't have to do it perfectly. You just have to keep showing up and trying again. Here is the beautiful thing about freedom. When you're truly free, joy becomes your natural state. Not happiness all the time. That's not realistic or even desirable. But a deep underlying joy that persists even when life is challenging. When you're free, you can appreciate the good without needing it to last forever. You can handle the hard without needing it to go away immediately. You can love people without needing them to change. You can pursue goals without attaching your worth to them. And you can live fully in each moment, whether it's pleasant or unpleasant. Joy isn't something you have to chase or create. It's what naturally emerges when you remove the barriers to freedom. Here are some questions to consider. What would true freedom look like in your life? What is one thought that's currently limiting your freedom? Which element of the freedom formula feels the most challenging for you and why? What's one small step you could take today toward greater freedom? How might your life be different if you were completely free? As you step into 2025, I invite you to make this your year of freedom, not by setting rigid resolutions or by trying to force change, but by gradually releasing what holds you back and stepping into your natural state of freedom and joy. Remember, your circumstances don't determine your freedom. Your thoughts do, and you can change your thoughts any time you choose. Are you ready to make 2025 your most free and joyful year yet? The door to your cage is already unlocked. All you have to do is choose to step through it. Live free, love life. Thank you for watching this episode of Live Free, Love Life. Please subscribe to my channel and don't forget to like, comment, and share. See you next time.